The morning sun spilled golden light across Serenity Lake, its rays dancing on the water as Emma and I pulled into the driveway of our new home for the first time. The cedar cabin, tucked among ancient pines with a private dock stretching into the crystal-clear lake, felt like a dream. After years of grinding away at my tech startup, selling it for a small fortune, this was our reward, a quiet escape from the city's chaos. Emma, her eyes bright with an artist's wonder, squeezed my hand as we sat in our Jeep, soaking in the view. "This is ours, Nathan," she whispered, already sketching the scene in her mind for a future canvas. The cabin had set us back nearly $1 million, but the joy on her face made every cent worth it. We'd found our sanctuary. The first few days were pure bliss. Emma set up her easel on the porch, painting the lake's shifting colors, while I wired the place with a state-of-the-art security system cameras with night vision, motion sensors, the works. Call it a tech guy's paranoia, but I wasn't taking chances with our investment. As I fiddled with the camera app, I caught glimpses of neighbors strolling by, dog walkers, joggers, folks waving hello. The community of Willow Cove seemed like the peaceful haven we'd craved. During my research into the property, I'd stumbled across something curious. The management company, Horizon Properties, was quietly up for sale. The price was steep, but doable for someone with my resources. I tucked the thought away, not sure if it'd ever matter. Trouble found us on day 4. Emma was out front, humming as she planted rose bushes along our shoreline, when Margaret stormed over like a thundercloud. She was in her late 50s, with sharp eyes and a pristine blazer emblazoned with HOA president. Her gray hair was pulled into a tight bun, her lips a thin line of disapproval. "New residents," she said, her voice dripping with authority. "You need to read the HOA guidelines. Willow Cove has strict standards." Her gaze raked over Emma's roses like they were weeds. Emma, ever polite, wiped dirt off her hands and smiled. "Hi, I'm Emma, and this is Nathan. We just moved in. Aren't these roses lovely? They'll attract bees, maybe even hummingbirds." But Margaret wasn't here for charm. She snapped photos of the roses with her phone, scribbling notes. "The landscaping committee will review this," she said coldly. "Expect to hear from us." Without another word, she marched off, leaving us stunned. That night, an email from the Willow Cove HOA arrived, a 25-page PDF of rules, with sections on unauthorized plantings highlighted in neon yellow. Attached were high-res photos of Emma's roses, time-stamped and taken from angles that screamed surveillance. It felt like overkill for a few flowers. I laughed it off, telling Emma it was just petty bureaucracy, but a chill crept in when I checked our security footage later. There was Margaret, standing at the edge of our property at dusk, staring at our cabin for a solid 10 minutes. Her face, caught in the camera's zoom, wasn't curious or neighborly, it was calculating. Then I remembered something from the property records, Sterling Holdings tied to Margaret's last name. It nagged at me, but I couldn't place why. A week later, Emma set up her easel on a rocky outcrop by the lake well within our property line. I checked the survey maps thrice after Margaret's visit. She was in her element, her brush capturing the sunset's glow, her auburn hair catching the light. I watched from the porch, heart full, thinking this was why we'd moved here. What I didn't see was Margaret across the lake, phone in hand, already live streaming to her followers. "There's a trespasser on our private shoreline," she declared, her voice thick with fake concern. "This person's setting up equipment, ignoring our rules, maybe even scoping the area for trouble." She zoomed in on Emma, spinning lies about a stranger endangering the community. Within an hour, her stream had 6,000 viewers, the comments erupting with outrage. Strangers who'd never set foot in Willow Cove demanded action, some sharing what they claimed was our address, others hinting at vigilante justice. Margaret fed the frenzy, claiming she feared for our children's safety, though I'd never seen kids around. Then she called 911, her voice trembling with practiced urgency. "There's an unknown individual on our private shoreline with equipment, ignoring residents' requests to leave." It was a Lieno one had approached Emma, but it was enough to summon Deputy Sarah Coleman. The patrol car's lights flashed as it rolled up, and Sarah, a no-nonsense officer in her 40s, looked exasperated as she spotted Emma painting peacefully. "Ma'am, I've got a trespassing complaint," she called. Emma's confusion broke my heart. She was being treated like a criminal on her own land. I rushed over, showing Sarah our deed and survey. She nodded, clearly annoyed at the false alarm, but added, "There's a live stream with thousands watching. For safety, I need your wife to move." The injustice burned. Margaret, still filming from afar, smirked as Emma packed up her easel, her hands trembling. That night, Emma's spark dimmed. Painting was her refuge, her therapy since college, and now it was tainted by public humiliation. I'd had enough. While Emma slept, I called my lawyer. "Buy Horizon Properties," I said. "Use shell companies, keep my name out of it." The deal was done in 48 hours for less than I'd made in a day during my startup's IPO. I now own the company that ran Margaret's HOA. She made a critical mistake. She didn't know who she was up against. 2 weeks later, a red-stamped HOA notice arrived, fining us $600 for unauthorized landscaping and community disturbance. It was a power play, not about roses or rules. Digging into public records, I uncovered the truth. Willow Cove was built on land once owned by Sterling Holdings, Margaret's family. They'd lost it 20 years ago in a bankruptcy fueled by bad investments and her father's gambling debts. Margaret wasn't just annoyed at us, saw our cabin as her stolen birthright. Her HOA tyranny was her way of clinging to control over land she'd never reclaim. Her 25-year career in corporate HR, mastering bureaucratic manipulation, explained her skill at making life hell while staying just inside the law. Records showed at least 5 families had fled Willow Cove after similar harassment. We were just her latest targets. Then things got darker. Our trash cans were tipped over weekly, spilling garbage across our driveway. Rumors spread that we were troublemakers planning to commercialize our property. Worst of all, someone scattered pet food and raw meat around our yard at night, drawing black bears dangerously close. One morning, Emma slipped on rotting fish guts strewn across our walkway, twisting her wrist and scraping her knee. "I can't do this anymore," she whispered, tears in her eyes. The security footage confirmed my suspicions. Margaret, at 2 a.m., methodically spreading the mess, checking her phone's flashlight for coverage. It wasn't just harassment, it was calculated, dangerous, and criminal. That same day, my Horizon credentials arrived. I now controlled the HOA's backbone. While Emma stayed with her parents for safety, I hired a private security firm to install more cameras and monitor our property 24/7. I also dug deeper into Margaret's past, finding a trail of intimidated neighbors and forced move-outs. She thought she was untouchable, but she'd picked the wrong fight. As Horizon's owner, I launched my counterstrike. I sent an email announcing new security protocols, ID, checks for community areas, stricter rule enforcement. Margaret panicked, bombarding Horizon's customer service with demands for answers. But my staff, per my orders, gave her nothing but polite deflections. Her frustration was delicious. I also reversed bogus fines for other residents, an elderly couple harassed over bird feeders, a mom targeted for her kids' chalk art building a paper trail of Margaret's abuses. She retaliated by rallying neighbors for a community uprising against Horizon, collecting signatures to oust the corporate overlords. Every petition, every rant was aimed at me, though she didn't know it. Her husband, Tom, grew visibly uneasy, once pleading, "Maybe we should stop," only to be silenced by her venomous, "I'll fight to the end." Margaret demanded an emergency meeting to expose Horizon and us as threats. As Horizon's owner, I approved it, setting the stage for her downfall. On October 15th, 2024, Willow Cove's community center hummed with tension. Margaret, in a crisp suit, presented a slick slideshow accusing us of rebellion and Horizon of overreach. She pointed at me, demanding my defense. I stood, smiling. "Thank you, Margaret, for this meeting. As Pinnacle's owner, I welcome everyone." The room froze. Her face twisted in horror as I plugged in a USB drive, showing footage of her vandalism, spreading garbage, scattering meat, trespassing. Gasps filled the air. The evidence was undeniable. On horizon, I said calmly. Every policy, every response came from me. I removed Margaret as HOA president and recommended criminal charges. She snapped, screaming, "This land is mine." Her meltdown exposed her obsession with a lost legacy. Tom, ashamed, let her out as she ranted. The room erupted in applause, not for revenge, but for justice. Emma returned, painting by the lake again. We reformed the HOA for fairness. Margaret and Tom moved away, seeking counseling. Willow Cove began to heal. But what drove Margaret to such extremes? Was her rage justified by her family's loss, or was she just a tyrant? Should I have exposed her so publicly, or was there another way? Could Tom have stopped her sooner? Drop your thoughts below. Let's debate who was really in the wrong. Like, comment, and subscribe for more stories like this.